Hello everyone, this is update for September 29, 2022, day 218 of the war, end of the date update. So as always, we're gonna, well, not always, to be fair, we're gonna discuss a little bit strategic situation, and then we're gonna move to the front line. So what happened today is that Russian president signed decrees that recognize all of this four occupied regions of Ukraine, well, partially because Zaporizhya, for example, is not fully occupied, and even the Donetsk region is not fully occupied, but basically they were recognized as independent territories. So that's just the hooplas that the Russian government decided to go through. And then on the 30th, there will be a formal also, signature of decrees that admit these four regions into Russia. Because the way it works is that the heads, well, they're not really heads, but those people who are sort of formally in charge of those regions, basically, they send sort of request, oh, please, accept us to into Russia. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow. So tomorrow is sort of, which is, I guess it's already tomorrow, 30th. So that's going to be the most important moment. As a result, Ukrainian leadership decided to do knee-jerk reaction as a reaction to all of these actions. And they decided to call urgent Council of National Security, where the head of it said that there are going to be some fundamental decisions made and so on. But the reality of it is just there's going to be much ado about nothing there, because there is nothing Ukraine can do with exception of winning on the battlefield. That's the really only way to solve the problem. The rest is just, as I said, much ado about nothing. So we'll see what's going to happen overall, but it's clear sign that Russian leadership decided not to have those negotiations, not to try negotiations, which I mentioned that Turkish president was trying to broker peace negotiation and apparently totally fell apart. So we can kind of put that idea for now to rest. There's going to be more sort of military action. And there's definitely very open discussion, which is a discussion about use of nuclear weapons, including within Russia. I would say mostly within Russia, obviously in Ukraine as well, but in Ukraine it's more reaction towards the Russian actions. And this might be just kind of like psychological preparation of the population that eventually it's going to be used. Now it's mostly discussion about the tactical nuclear weapons, but there were also discussion that very concerning, specifically one of the Russian thought leaders, his last name is Karaganov. So he was discussing that Russia should attack actually one of the countries, NATO countries, as opposed to Ukraine, because Ukraine just, from the Russian perspective, is just a puppet. So from Russian perspective, it should attack from, one of these sort of hawks, that Russia should attack centers of decision making. And some even, the most craziest one, they even discussing attacking democratic like parts of the US essentially. So that was this is obviously totally sort of out there far, but I just want to describe sort of all spectrum of what's going on within Russia. I don't think that Russian leadership is sort of kind of like open to those, but there's definitely some kind of discussion going on inside of Russian leadership on what to do about it, because all of this mobilization so far, it's kind of like moving along in a very rough way, and the front line is collapsing. So Russian side may not just have time; just going to be pressed to do something to stem this collapse, and that would may sort of like fold their hands in terms of using tactical weapons. We'll see tactical nuclear weapons. Sorry, we'll see what happens. But because there will be this collapse of Liman, the section of the front line around Liman is imminent. So we'll see what happens as a result of that. But let's just start with the walk through the front line, starting from the very north along the state border. Situation somewhat relatively quiet. There's still exchange of all sort of adversarial actions, but it's subdued. Now let's actually jump to North Luhansk front line, where the whole sort of major action is happening, where the most advance is happening right now. So let's actually see. Let's just start from very, very north. Ukrainian troops are moving very slowly. So yesterday they liberated this village Kishvarivka. Then straight south of that village, essentially almost like two villages in one. There's another village, Novoosynove. So that was liberated today. And so there's a very small move, and it looks like it's more move in a sort of southeastern direction here. No changes in the front line, at least not that we are aware here up north and on the eastern side of it. So apparently Ukrainian command has decided to sort of solve Liman problem before moving in more forceful way towards Svatove. That's just sort of my interpretation of what's happening, because it's very clear that troops here are somewhat on the pause. So what happened today is that Ukrainian troops basically moved closer, and they tried to attack Zaporizhya. So essentially, as you can see, there's Zaporizhya and Torsk. It's almost also kind of like a twin villages, right? So it's like one contiguous, or well, it's not urban, but sort of like, well, I don't know, like villages. So two villages in one, and this is the only route that supplies all of these Russian troops here at this point. Also, Ukrainian troops moved to Stavke here at this point, and they essentially like if they're not controlling it, there's just they essentially close to controlling Stavke, this village here. So essentially, as you can see, this is kind of like difficult situation, because Russian troops still holding on in Drobisheva, and as I said, there is this bars units there, and then also 752nd Regiment of 2nd Mechanized Division. It's probably something like some other units as well here that we're not aware, but there's also 201st military camp, or I would say probably regiment size, or maybe even less than that of that camp. So essentially today is probably going to be a moment when this small bottleneck is going to get shut. And it doesn't look that Russian command is trying to withdraw these troops from here. We'll see if this is going to be successful, but even Russian sources, they're all claiming that this is, if they don't sort of escape this night, they will be doomed here in this pocket, essentially, at this point, because there are attacks at Torsk, and essentially this road already under fire control, direct fire. So even right now, getting out of this Liman area is gonna cause some sort of losses, and it's probably gonna also mean loss of pretty much all of the equipment. It will be probably abandoned, similar to what was going on around Izum, Kupyansk, and Balaklia earlier in September. So this is just as a summary. So it looks like on the 30th, this is going to be sort of final verdict for this pocket. So basically, they either will try to escape, or they will be basically closed in the pocket, Russian troops here, which is going to be kind of like negative background for Russian president signing that acceptance of those 4 regions into Russia. So this, so it's probably for that reason that they are sort of not ordered to withdraw, so that there is no loss of Liman announced on that date. I don't know, there's some probably political stuff going on around this. Now this is just a kind of like a refresher of how things transpired since 23rd. So you can see there was initial Ukrainian bridgehead after successes with Izum, Balaklia, Kupyansk, and Russian troops pretty much withdrew. There was no sort of strong front line there. Then, next day there was significant advance there. Then there was nothing on 25th. Then on 26th, there's even more stronger advances. And then on 27, it's essentially the pocket is almost there, but Ukrainian troops are still sort of working on closing that pocket essentially. But at this point, they're essentially done doing that. And as you can see, since then, there's essentially no movements in this northern and eastern direction here towards Latvia. Now let's move south. Let's see what's going on the North Donbass front line. Things here are sort of pretty much sort of standard. Russian Wagner mercenaries still trying to attack. There are some Russian attacks in Soledar that don't lead anywhere, and they are super active and I would say aggressive on this section that's south of Bakhmut. As you can see, the attacks pretty much everywhere, but there was no success here, no gained ground by Wagner mercenaries here. Now let's move south. Let's see what's going on central Donbass. Front line here, Russian troops also were somewhat active. As you can see, typical area is this Pisky attacks out of there. Then again, renewed attacks towards New York, which been quiet probably for like 3 months at this point. Then attacks around Novomikhailivka. Then again, attack at Pavlivka. It was yesterday there as well. So it's just all the same. No meaningful differences here, and no changes in the front line here either. Now let's look at Zaporizhya front line. Things here are, let's say, quiet as they always been. No essential changes here at all. Now let's finish with Kherson bridgehead. So things here also somewhat quiet. There are some Russian attacks aimed at this bridgehead and trying to squeeze out Ukrainian troops without much success because there is not enough forces to make anything meaningful, let's put it this way. Ukrainian command, Ukrainian forces continue attacking Russian logistical lines across Dnipro River. Sometimes they're successful, sometimes they're not, but basically it's just a drawn out fight that eventually will sort of lead to success, basically. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.